Hey everyone, and welcome to the ATA podcast. I'm Matt Baird.
And I'm Andy Ho. This podcast is brought to you by the American Translators Association. Each month, we bring you news and insights from ATA. We look at what's happening across the association, explore the benefits of membership, and discuss the translation and interpreting professions.
That's right. You know, the T&I industry is always changing, and we hope this podcast will help you keep up with it. ATA was founded over 60 years ago to advance the translation and interpreting professions and foster the professional development of individual translators and interpreters. We have nearly 9,000 members in more than 100 countries.
If you'd like to know more about ATA, we'll have some information for you at the end of the show. And you'll also find links in the notes.
All right, let's get started with a few quick announcements.
Hey there, language professionals! Registration to ATA's annual conference is now open. Don't miss one of the T&I industry's biggest events, an experience made for you with hundreds of education sessions, job and networking opportunities, and so much more. This year, we're meeting in the heart of unforgettable Miami. Come experience the vibrant fusion of white sand beaches, cultural diversity, and electrifying nightlife in one of the world's liveliest cities. Early bird pricing ends on September 16th, so don't delay. Register today. Speaking of our annual conference time is also election time. Every year, ATA holds regularly scheduled elections during the conference. Watch for candidate statements in the upcoming September-October issue of the ATA Chronicle and on ATA's website. We'll also be releasing short candidate statements next month on this podcast. And if you're not yet a voting member, becoming one is easy. You don't have to be certified. Just complete the short application form online. It's free and only takes a few minutes. Go to atanet.org and search for Becoming a Voting Member. And finally, do you know about our Membership Diversity Award? Each year, the American Foundation for Translation and Interpretation offers a limited number of fully paid ATA memberships to individuals joining ATA for the first time who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color. Don't miss this chance to join ATA for free. Visit atanet.org to find out if you're eligible.
Today, we're talking about ATA's 64th annual conference. Our association's flagship event will be in Miami, Florida, October 25th to the 28th. And I'm here with Veronika Demichelis. Veronika currently serves as ATA President-elect and Chair of the Governance and Communications Committee. And as ATA President-elect, one of her many roles, is conference organizer. Veronika is an ATA certified English to Russian translator based in Houston, Texas. She has a master's degree in linguistics and intercultural communications and an MBA in human resources management. She's also an instructor for the Houston Community College Translation and Interpretation Program and a co-host of the Smart Habits for Translators podcast. If you haven't heard that one, listeners, check it out. It's a great podcast, and with lots and lots of resources. Veronika, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks for co-hosting the ATA podcast. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. You know, anyone who tuned in last month will know that Veronika was on the podcast for our annual halftime show. She and ATA President Marilena Sanchez-San Paulo spoke with my co-host, Andy Ho. And if you missed that one, I would encourage you to check it out. You'll get a great roundup of what's going on at ATA. And I have to say, it really never ceases to amaze me how much is going on in our association at any given moment. And that's even after doing this podcast for the past 8 years. So, Veronika, last month, Andy asked you about ATA 64, and you took the opportunity to give a brief preview. You talked about the new things in store for us this year, and I'd like to get into those in just a minute. But first, you know, we're obviously plugging the conference in this episode, but pretend I'm a professional translator or interpreter who has never attended the conference before, or a translation or interpreting company owner, or a language company, or a language tech company for that matter. You know, what would you tell them? Why should they attend our annual conference?
Right. It's a great question. And what I tell people who ask me, what are some reasons to attend, is that you really can't afford not to attend if you're a translator or an interpreter who takes their career seriously and wants to thrive in this profession. ATA Annual Conference is the place to be. It is your one-stop shop to learn about the latest trends and developments in our professions, connect with colleagues, discuss common challenges, solutions, brainstorm some ideas, find collaboration opportunities with colleagues, meet clients, learn new skills, and know what to do to take your career to the next level. If you're a company owner, this is where you come to learn about the way our profession is evolving, find new talent, connect with fellow company owners, and identify opportunities for business growth and collaborations. And for language tech companies, the ATA Annual Conference is a unique opportunity to connect directly with your users, with your target audience, present your tools and services, and grow your business. And especially these days when many of us feel lost in a sea of new tools or feel uncertain about the future of our career in the age of new technology and artificial intelligence, the ATA Annual Conference is a place where you can discover tips and tricks and get firsthand information from technology experts and seasoned professionals on how to leverage technology in your profession and how to future-proof your career. And lastly, I think by attending the annual conference, you get a chance to take some much needed time to work on your business, not in your business, and take a bird's eye view of your professional environment, acquire new skills, and feel inspired to make some changes in your business.
Wow. I mean, there really is, you're right, something for everyone.
Yeah.
And, if that didn't convince everyone listening out there, then perhaps a closer look at what the conference has to offer will. So let's get into it. When I was looking at the schedule and the events, one of the biggest changes I see is all of the difference changes from, previous conferences is all the different session formats available this year. In the past, conference sessions were typically 60 minutes. But this year there's like a bunch of different session types. And can you tell us about those and why you've introduced them?
Right. Yeah, you're right. The educational sessions and at the conferences have traditionally been 60 minutes, but we have listened to the feedback of our conference attendees of the last year's conference and before that, and really just wanting to offer our conference attendees more variety, more opportunities to learn new skills, to hear from speakers. We decided to try out some new formats because not every session needs to be 60 minutes. There's a lot you can cover in 30 minutes or 15 minutes. And with this new 15-minute ATA micro talk formats, we wanted to do something that's engaging, dynamic. So another session format that I'm really excited about are professional forums. These are a new format that we're trying out this year, and so far the feedback and response have been great. These sessions are an opportunity for members of ATA divisions to come together and discuss hot topics in their field or challenges and issues that they are struggling with or need advice on. So these are not meant to be presentations. They are roundtable discussions where people can work in small groups, discuss various topics, and these sessions will be led by facilitators coming from leadership of these divisions. And I'm very excited at how many great professional forums we will have this year. And finally, another new format we're trying out are committee forums, where you can come to learn about what ATA committees do for our members, what resources and member benefits they are working on, and how you can get involved.
Right on, man. That's so many cool things. I'm really excited as well. I think particularly the micro talks sound interesting. I'm imagining sort of like TED Talk kind of sessions that can be really inspiring.
Exactly.
So another thing I noticed that there are some new session tracks, and for people out there who don't know what that means, on the website they're listed as topics. So sort of the sessions are categorized in a variety of topics, and there's a lot of new ones this year. Can you tell us what's new?
Right. That's another example of us listening to our members and also trying to bring a new updated look and feel to the ATA annual conference. We looked at what fields our members work in and like to hear about. And we wanted to present them with learning opportunities that are very specific to their specializations. And I think that it also made popular session topics more prominent instead of lumping them together under, say, translation or interpreting. So we have introduced a lot of new session topics such as diversity, equity, and inclusion in translation and interpreting. And this one covers both topics of translating or interpreting on diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as how to make our professions more diverse and inclusive. We have a topic for folks who work in anything that's related to, say, corporate communication or finance or marketing or human resources. That topic is called T&I for the business sector. We have a topic called the business of translation and interpreting. So this is where we talk about the business skills needed to work as a freelancer or run a company as a translator or an interpreter. We have a dedicated track for conference interpreting, educational translation and interpreting, localization. This one speaks for itself. We have sort of a revamped, updated title for a track for educators and trainers who are working to create a new generation of translators and interpreters coming in. That one's called T&I Education and Training. And then we have a dedicated session topic for languages of limited diffusion. So far, again, I'm hearing a great response on these new topics, and we've received many great proposals for this year in all the conference tracks.
Now, apart from the educational sessions, there's been some changes to the networking events. Can you tell us about those?
Sure. So this year, we will combine the welcome celebration that kicks off the ATA annual conference on Wednesday evening with the opening remarks, so that we don't have to have a dedicated session for the opening remarks on Thursday. So when you come to the welcome celebration, you will meet colleagues and new friends and get some nice drinks and food, and then hear from both ATA president and myself with some opening remarks for the conference. Immediately after the welcome celebration, which will be held outdoors by the conference hotel in a beautiful location, we will go inside the hotel for the division and special interest groups mix and mingle. So this will be an opportunity for division members to come together and meet and say hello and meet the leadership of various divisions, as well as highlight our new special interest groups and maybe join them as well. We will also have some new themed breakfast tables like Chat LTD Breakfast Club, organized by ATA's Language Technology Division. That promises to be great fun and very timely. And then what used to be called the Tweet Up is now called the Social Media Meetup. So whether you like what previously was called Twitter and now X, or Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever social media platform of your choice, you are welcome to join that breakfast meetup and meet fellow social media lovers. And then we have combined what used to be called the book fair. We have combined it with podcasts and blogs and training and resources offered by translators and interpreters to fellow translators and interpreters. And that event is now called the T&I Book and Resource Fair.
Wow. Again, it's so much. And it's one of the things I love about the conference every year. There's so much diversity. There's really something for everyone. And yeah. What more can I say? But let's keep going, because there's more to talk about.
There's more, yeah.
Yeah. So the exhibit hall is one of the sort of central, let's say, events or pillars of the conference. It's a place where you can go in and out all the time, talk to exhibitors, talk to tool vendors, talk to agencies, talk to all sorts of people in the language industry. But again, and I'm getting all this from what you talked about in last month's podcast, you mentioned some new stuff. So tell us, what's going to be new in the exhibit hall?
Right. So when we were planning this year's conference, we really looked at every single element of the annual conference and asked ourselves, how can we make it a little different, a little more fun, a little more attractive? So the exhibit hall experience was part of that discussion as well. And we had a great focus group meeting with many of regular exhibitors and sponsors at ATA annual conferences to see how we can elevate that experience both for them and for our conference attendees. So at this year's conference, there will be way more interaction with the exhibitors because our breakfast area is directly adjacent to the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall is in a beautifully lit area with lots of natural sunlight. The breakfast area is right next to it, so you will be able to go and visit the exhibitors more often. We're also planning some fun events in the exhibit hall. I can't disclose many of them yet, but we do plan to kind of gamify the experience of visiting the exhibit hall and make it sort of a scavenger hunt or treasure hunt where you are excited to visit different booths and talk to our exhibitors. And during the lunch breaks, we will also have lunch grab and go stations near the exhibit hall. So you can grab quick lunch and browse various booths, talk to the exhibitors if you don't feel like venturing outside or if you don't have any specific plans for lunch. So that will be another option. So all in all, I think that promises to give more exposure to our exhibitors and also make it more fun for our attendees to visit the exhibit hall. And we will also highlight special events that will take place in the exhibit hall, whether they're organized by ATA or by the exhibitors.
All right. Now, finally, my ears perked up last month when you mentioned new conference badges, or maybe you said changes to the badges.
Mm-hmm.
Can you reveal that, or is that a big surprise?
Well, yes, I can share some details. Absolutely. We chose to use a new badge vendor this year, so badges will look different. It will have a more sleek and modern look. We will not have badges with badge pockets anymore. These badges will be printed on site on a piece of plastic, but the lanyards will be reusable, so you can use them for your car keys or any other things you want after the conference. We will also not have language dots anymore. When you register, you can list your languages and they will be printed on your badge, so they will be quite prominent on your badge. You can also list your pronouns during registration, and that will also be displayed on your badge. So overall, we're excited to see how these new badges work out, and I'm just excited they'll look more up to date and kind of have a fresher, more sleek look.
Right on. I'm curious to see what they look like. Now, that was really a lot of new stuff, and I'm excited, and I can share that I have registered and got my flight tickets and everything, and my hotel and all that good stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it. And kudos to you, Veronica, and everyone else involved in planning this year's conference.
Thank you so much. I really couldn't have done it without our amazing staff, especially Adrian Alekna, who is in charge of all the logistics and has been for many years, for many ATA annual conferences. We have a wonderful team of staff members, amazing volunteers who have been reviewing sessions, moderating sessions, agreed to facilitate networking events, or organizing division offsite events, or getting continuing education credits approved by various organizations, and doing more and more things. Our fantastic speakers and also exhibitors who have been instrumental in revamping our exhibit hall experience this year. And I think I should also thank our Florida chapter at TIFF for being our host. They put together a fantastic list of tips from the locals for us, and it is available on the conference website. So just a huge thanks to all these people. This event wouldn't be possible without them.
Right on. Now, I'd like to now dive into some of the regular conference offerings, those us veterans, the things sort of the usual suspects we look forward to every year, but new conference attendees might not know much about. But before we do that, I want to do a brief aside. I would like to talk briefly about the ATA elections, and because that takes place every year. It's part of the conference, and who are we voting for this year, and maybe give us a brief look into how the elections work.
Right. So at this year's annual conference in Miami, we are going to elect a president-elect, secretary, and treasurer, each of those for a 2-year term, as well as 3 directors, each for a 3-year term. Conference attendees will be able to hear from candidates and ask them questions during the annual meeting of voting members on Thursday, October 26th. And then the election results will be announced on Friday, October 27th. We will also have 4 proposed bylaws amendments. The ATA board approved placing them on the ballot this year, and the text of these proposed amendments, as well as the rationale for these proposed changes, will be communicated to members through ATA email blasts and published in the ATA Chronicle. And ATA elections are held online, so all voting members will receive their ballots by email and will be able to read all the candidates' bios, as well as the proposed bylaws amendments and a rationale, and then cast their votes.
Right on. I'd like to throw in there that next month we will also be releasing a podcast with candidate statements. So some of the candidates will be recording their thoughts on why they're running for office. And so if you'd like to hear those before you go to Miami, you can do so next month.
Yeah.
Also, but a question: do you have to attend the conference in order to vote?
No, any voting member can vote whether they attend the conference or not, because our elections are held online. So if people cannot come to the conference, or for some reason are not planning to come, they can vote online ahead of time and designate a proxy to cast their ballot at the conference for them. You do need to be a voting member to vote. And so those of our listeners who are ATA members, please check if you're a voting member. If not, you can go through the active membership review process if you're an associate member, and then get your right to vote. And this process, the active membership review process, is fast, free, and it can be done online. You do not need to be ATA certified to vote. There are other criteria to become an active member, but you do need to become a voting member by October 5th in order to be eligible to vote. October 5th is our date of record for this year.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for those insights. All right, so we've covered all the new stuff, and now we talked about the elections. Let's talk about some of the things us conference veterans know and love. So what's back this year by popular demand, so to speak? How about we start with the networking events? You've mentioned some of the new stuff. What are some of the things that are coming back?
Right. So there's really quite a lot that is back by popular demand. For example, our Buddies Welcome Newbies session will be held this year, and I believe it's their 10th anniversary. So I'm really excited to see what group they will gather this year. Last year was really an amazing response from what I hear. We'll also have our Stronger Together networking session, the brainstorm networking. We will have their usual themed breakfast tables, like breakfast with the candidates, breakfast with the board, student breakfast meetup, the mentors and mentees breakfast meetup, military veterans breakfast meetup, and so on. And of course, we'll have the job fair. That many know is a great opportunity to connect with companies that are looking for translators and interpreters, and find clients at the conference.
Right on. Are there any other sort of usual suspects we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book and dictionary exchange will be back again, and our conference attendees can enjoy either yoga or Zumba every morning before the conference action starts. The literary division is putting on their regular after hours cafe. We will have the AFTI game night. We will have the annual awards presentation, which is a great event to honor and celebrate our colleagues who have made an impact in ATA and the profession. And the closing session, followed by the closing social. We call it a little differently this year, but it will include everyone's favorite dance party.
I said it before, I'll say it again. There really is something for everyone. And,
True.
As far as I'm concerned, this year's location in Miami is, just the icing on the cake. So I guess that leaves me with just one more question. What, Veronica, are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I am looking forward to meeting old friends and making new ones. And just experiencing this magic feeling of being at the ATA annual conference. It's a feeling like no other. It's like the most anticipated and exciting reunion with friends, an event where you feel like you belong and you are among your people, you are comfortable, you are happy. There's just amazing energy. And I always leave annual conferences feeling inspired and recharged and full of ideas for my business.
Well, I couldn't agree more. But I guess I do have one more question, and that is, did we miss anything? Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap things up?
I don't think so, though I could probably talk about the annual conference all day. Which is there's so many details that go into it, and I'm really excited to see everyone in Miami. I think my last word of advice would be don't wait. Register for the conference, especially for the early bird registration fee. Book your hotel room. You can do it online through the website and start making your schedule and connecting with fellow ATA members and conference attendees. And don't miss our webinar. We will have a webinar on October 2nd, hosted by the Buddies and Newbies team to learn how to prepare for the conference and attend a virtual networking session to start making new friends and connections before the conference.
Right on. Well, Veronica, you have been deeply involved as the conference organizer in the organization of, our flagship event every year. So, from me personally, and I think I can speak for a lot of our members, thank you so much for all the work you've put into planning this year's annual conference and really all that you do for ATA.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's my pleasure.
And thank you for joining me today. It was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed this, and I'm even more excited for Miami now.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in Miami as well.
All right, that's a wrap. We'd like to thank everyone who helped produce today's show.
Chris Silva recorded the announcements. Derek Platts mixed and edited the audio. ATA headquarters provided editorial and technical support.
If you learned anything new in today's podcast, I bet there's someone out there who would like to know it too. Don't be stingy. Tell them about the podcast. I've gotten to know so many great podcasts that way. I promise they'll thank you for it.
And if you're not an ATA member, listen up. I've been a member for over 20 years. Joining ATA literally launched my freelance career. It opened the door to a profession I knew very little about, and attending my first annual conference led to my very first freelance job.
And I joined for the first time in 2004 as a student. My first conference blew my mind. Nowadays, the demand for translators and interpreters is at an all-time high, but finding quality work isn't easy. ATA membership can make the difference. And ATA isn't just for translators and interpreters. We have teachers and professors, hospital administrators, language company owners, and technology developers, just to name a few. Companies and institutions can join too. Our membership includes language companies, universities, and government agencies.
If you'd like to know more, go to ATA's website, atanet.org. You can also check out past episodes of this podcast where we talk about the benefits of membership and what's currently happening in the association.
But before you go, please take a quick moment to give us a rating or write a review. Tell us what you like, why you listen, or about your favorite guest. Your feedback is super helpful, and reviews help other listeners find the show too.
We'd really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Talk to you again soon.